Hi, I'm Rosie Birkett and today I'm making a delicious crab and comté tart. So to start with, what we're going to do is make our cheesy comté pastry. So I've got some plain flour here and some chilled cubes of butter. And then I'm going to rub in the butter to the flour. When I'm doing this, I always think about dealing cards, and that's the movement that I use to rub in the butter, so that you're getting nice fine flakes of butter and keeping it really light. Right, so I'm happy with that consistency, and now I'm going to add in the comté. And I'm using the 28-month-old aged comté here because it's got a real deep, rich, nutty flavour which works really well in the pastry and gives it a lovely savoury, cheesy edge. Just combine that cheese into the flour and butter mixture. And then you want to get a beaten egg. And then that's going into the pastry. Then add in around 2 tablespoons of ice cold water. And for this, you want to sort of judge it as you're going, because obviously it depends on the climate and on how hot it is when you're making pastry. So I would just add one at a time and see how you're going, because you don't want to end up with sticky pastry that's difficult to work with. You want to get in there with your hands to bring the pastry together. Already this pastry is smelling really good with all the cheese. Then just give it a little bit of a knead on a chopping board. Lightly flour it first. And then you need to chill it in the fridge. Now I like to wrap it in greaseproof paper rather than cling film because it doesn't sweat as much, it keeps it nice and dry. So pop this in the fridge for about an hour. So it's ready to roll out now. A good tip is to roll it in one direction and then to rotate the pastry so that you're rolling it evenly. So when it's about sort of pound coin thickness, you can start cutting out your rounds to line the tin. So I just cut around a bowl that's a little bit bigger than my tart tin. Like that. And then just drop the pastry into the tin. And what you do is sort of tuck it in so that you're not stretching it in any way. So tuck and then press. And if you do break your pastry, don't freak out because this pastry is quite easy to work with and you can always patch it up with another piece. And then you want to fill them with baking beans. So get some squares of greaseproof paper, and then a good trick is to just scrunch them up and then unscrunch them. And this just means that they're going to get into all of the nooks and crannies of the tart tin. Once you've filled all your tarts with baking beans, you want to put them onto a baking tray and bake them in a preheated oven at 180 or 160 fan for 20 minutes. And after 20 minutes, just take your baking beans and the paper out of the tart tins. Keep the oven on because you're going to put them back in. And then you just want to prick the bottom of the pastry so that it doesn't puff up. And then these want to go back in the oven for 5 more minutes just to crisp up the bottoms. Now we're going to use one of my favourite ingredients for the filling, fennel. And what you need to do is just cut the fronds off because we're going to save these lovely fronds for the garnish. Once you've chopped your fennel, get a pan and put it on a medium to high heat with about a tablespoon of olive oil. And then in the pan with your fennel. Season it with salt and pepper. And just cook this for about 3 minutes. While your fennel's cooking, don't forget to take your pastry cases out of the oven because they'll be ready now. After about 3 minutes, you want to add some lemon zest into the mix. So just grate the zest of about half a lemon over the fennel and add a pinch of chili flakes and a little pinch of fennel seeds as well. And then cook it all together for about 5 more minutes until the fennel is sweetened and caramelised and smelling really good. And then you want to add just a squeeze of lemon juice to the fennel. And then it's time for the secret ingredient, a nip of brandy. So about 2 teaspoons of brandy in here to deglaze. That alcohol will cook off almost immediately, and then it's ready to come off the heat. And then you just want to chop up a spring onion to also go into the mix. And then we're going to make the custard. So 4 eggs and about 300 grams of creme fraiche. Season this with some salt and freshly ground black pepper again. And a good grating of nutmeg. And then you want a few leaves of tarragon. Just chop those up. And then put the spring onions and the tarragon in, and the Comté, saving a little bit to go over the top of the tarts at the end. And then combine it with a wooden spoon. And now the custard's ready, it's time to fill the tarts. So first I'm going to get my crab meat. I've got a lovely dressed crab here, and I'm just going to use most of this meat here. I'm not going to use all of the brown meat, but I do like to use some of it for flavour because it's got a lovely nutty flavour that goes really well with the cheese. Give it a squeeze of lemon. Just combine it all together. And then you want to divide the fennel mixture between the tart cases. So. And then go in with your crab. And then you want to spoon the custard into the tart cases. So. Just be a bit cautious with how much you're putting in. You don't want to overfill them because you don't want them to spill over too much. And then I'm going to go over with some more of the grated Comté just to finish off. Just a little bit. And then some of the finely chopped fennel fronds that we reserved earlier, just for a little pop of colour. And then these are going back in the oven for 20 minutes. So once the tarts have been cooling for about 10 minutes, they're ready to serve. And you could just have one as a lunch, or they make a perfect dinner party starter. I'm going to serve them on this platter with some lovely colourful salads. They smell amazing. And that's it. I hope you enjoy this recipe. I think that the crab and the Comté and the caramelised fennel work really beautifully together. And it's a bit of a taste sensation. So it's definitely one to try out for your friends.